My name is Soheil Var. I'm the founder and owner of Palm City FC, a professional football club that was built in only 365 days.
Because I really believe that content creators are the future of the sport industry.
We allowed the ideas of the fans to essentially build the club.
If you have a good content strategy, you will have a good story to tell. I always say that it will help you win more when you win and lose less when you lose.
That makes us unique compared to all other football clubs in the world.
Hello, welcome to a new episode of Gameday. Today also from the World Football Summit with a very special guest. So hey.
How are you?
Very good. Thank you for making the time today to come to the Gameday Podcast, a place where we're trying to explain the game behind the game.
Yeah.
And I remember we met a few years ago at the World Football Summit in Madrid. You were starting your project as a content creator.
Yes.
You made an interview with me, and today I'm honored to do the interview with you because your project has evolved so much. And,
it has, yeah.
I think you are on one of these spaces where the future of sports relies, which is content creators and how content creators can bring value and create new business models, and shape the future of the industry. So I always like to start my podcast by introducing my guest. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about your story?
Of course. Well, I'm happy to be here on this podcast. We have a crazy story from 4 years ago at the first ever World Football Summit. So my name is Soheil Var. I'm the founder and owner of Palm City FC, a professional football club that was built in only 365 days. On day one, we had nothing. 1 year later, we had a pro football club. And what makes it special is the whole club, we built it with the audience, with the community. So we documented the process and we allowed the ideas of the fans to essentially build the club. So the name, the logo, the colors, the kits, everything. And that built up a lot of hype over the first couple of months. And then we got our pro license from the UAE Federation. And next thing you know, we were in the UAE third division. This was last year. And now we're in the UAE second division. We got promoted. So we're currently in first place, and hopefully we continue to get promoted. So that's a little bit about me. Before this project, there was another chapter, which was how we first met. Actually, it was my journey to trying to sign a pro football contract. And one day I picked up my phone and I said, hey, I have 365 days to try and sign a pro contract. And actually, when we met, I had gone from Canada to Spain, and I was trying to make a pro in Spain, the hardest country to try and make it in. So I was going on some trials from Tercera, Preferente, and trying to work my way up. And along those journeys, I got to know about the World Football Summit. And I actually emailed this event like crazy. I made WhatsApp, everything. They ignored me. A few days before the event, they gave me a media pass. That was my first ever football conference that I went to. And that's where we met 4 years ago. And here we are 4 years after.
Amazing. And honestly, I've been following you since then.
Yeah.
And I have to say that the way you have brought audience into your story, into your project, has been amazing. And an example I always talk, because I really believe that content creators are the future of the sport industry, because you talk in a way that really engage and reach this younger generation. And thinking about it, about the business model, about how the industry needs to evolve, because the traditional model of media rights and the traditional business model, it's a little bit under stress. Everyone is trying to figure out how things need to be done in the future. How are you, when you think about your project, about Palm City FC, how are you monetizing now your content, your project?
Yeah, it's a good question. You nailed it when you said content is getting more personalized. The creators are now winning the space. So many people are drawn to the content creator. And I think the reason behind that is because at the end of the day, people like being authentic. They value what's real. And I think just being able to look at the camera and actually speak your truth and share, even in my journey, was the setbacks and the failures. People resonate with that. I think we went from an era of, it was more long format, then everything became short format, quick, attention grabbing. And now I think there is a desire to, again, get to know the people. And so for us, what we've done really good at is having that connection with the audience. We bring them along the journey. When things aren't perfect, we share that. We get their ideas in building it. And then obviously there's the monetization element for a football club. We're a business at the end of the day. So currently how we operate is, I mean, like other clubs as well, one of our main revenue streams are sponsorships. So content is a big part of that because we just closed our front kit sponsor. We had a lot of different sponsorship conversations. Why? Because we did so good with our social media exposure. So we had hundreds of thousands of followers. We had every month 10 to 20 million views. And I think getting the content right, then of course it gets your sponsorship opportunity a lot greater. Now, another thing we are currently in the process of is we're doing an inner circle with Palm City FC, where our community members basically get exclusive insight and access to content pieces. Now we're building a path to eventually be able to monetize that as well. And the more behind the scenes stuff and the more exciting stuff, we're always going to post it for free, but there's going to be some bits and pieces that we're also going to be looking to monetize. And then we've just closed a streaming deal with Smashy Sports, which we're in the UAE second division. We're still not the first division where you've got nationwide streaming deals. So for us with Smashy Sports, for example, we've got a revenue share model where anybody who wants to stream our games and watch, we then get a revenue of that directly, being a football club. Okay. And everything we do, we try and make in collaboration. So these are some of the ways that we've started to be able to monetize our content.
I think that's an interesting approach, because if you think about the past, traditionally the sport industry in general has transferred always the risk and the relationship to the fan to a third party. Think about the big football clubs. Historically, they only engage with the people directly that were going to the stadium. But the people that were watching at home, at the end, they were watching it through a broadcaster, and that broadcaster pay up front the media rights, pay a lot of money, so they were taking the risk. And by taking the risk, they were also owning the relationship with the fan. But you completely changed that model.
Yeah.
You're trying something different. What things have you learned a lot about that process of interacting and talking directly to people?
So when I think of traditional broadcasting, I think it's very superficial at the end of the day. It's like you get to watch a football match, but there's not much to it. Now I see there's evolutions, which are fantastic to see. But one thing that we've done really great at is being interactive. And the way we are interactive is, one, we make the audience and the community part of the process. So very easy example was with building the football club. We got them to design our football kits with us. But now we're actually operating the football club. So for example, in our games, now in the inner circle, there's a tie where people can get to make certain decisions with us in terms of the preparation leading up to matches. And then I think it's really important in terms of making content interactive. Again, zooming out, it's about something that's real and something that's entertaining. And for us, I think if I had to think about it, it's just people really care about stories and people. And myself, I've obviously built the football club brand off of my own brand, and people have really gotten a personal attachment with me, to the point where a couple of weeks ago, I posted a 3-minute video of just talking to the camera, no edits, nothing, 3 minutes, 1.3 million views. Why? That's because people actually have built an attachment to that person. So the way I'm thinking about it now is, okay, we're a football club. We want an attachment from the community to the club, but then also can we create more deeper attachments between the community members to our coach, between selective players on the team, getting to know their personality, getting to know their mindset, how they're thinking about things. And I think as we go deeper with those content pieces, it creates more opportunity for interaction with the community.
And when you think about the sponsorship proposition, how you balance maybe the interest, because if you look at your social media followers, I think you have like around 300,000 followers, if I'm not mistaken. Palm City FC has around 150. Yeah. Something like that. I'm talking only Instagram. When you think about the sponsorship proposition, how important is you being part of that sponsorship proposition in the content mix when you talk to a sponsor? Yeah. And how are you trying to separate the person
club and the personal brand
from the brand? Yeah.
Yeah,
the
it's a great question.
From the club brand.
The way we're having the conversations right now is we are making the focal point the club. This is the brand of the club, not the personal brand, the brand of the club. This is what we have, this many followers, here's our demographics, here's the story of the club, which is very valuable. And then anything related to me as a personal brand honestly comes as an extra. Do clubs somehow in their mind probably think, of course, Soheil is attached to the club and there's added value, yes. But when we go into the actual business deal itself, we actually don't have any specific metrics set. to include me into the deal. And I want it to be like that for now because I really want to create a better connection between the audience or the sponsor and the actual club and have that be a entity of its own. So I don't want to just be like Soheil and Palm City FC. Palm City FC, I want it to be on its own. But what makes it special? You've got a founder with a big personal brand, and you've got His Highness Sheikh Ahmed, who's club president. And then maybe you've got this player who also has a big brand. And then all those bits and pieces become extras. And I think as I continue to build out, I'm also going to look to integrate KPIs and things like that I can then probably attach to, for example, myself as a personal brand. But for now, step by step, we're just starting with a more simple approach where we're just kind of focusing on the club. And that's the way we're presenting it to sponsors. And they're more than happy. They love the story. That's why they buy in, to be honest.
And that's also a big challenge because you have such an amazing story from the creation of the club. 360 days creating you spend 360 days telling your daily journey to create the club. And what stories are you telling now? Because being able to keep telling stories at that level, it's very complicated.
It's challenging.
It's very challenging.
So the gift that we have, and this, I thought of this when I was in my living room and I came up with the idea. I thought, okay, 365 days to signing a pro contract, that's like a movie title. Can he do it? 365 days to building a pro football club, that's a bigger movie title. Can he do it? Now, I was thinking, okay, we're third division. Now can they make it to second division? Can they make it to first division? So I think there's still that, when I think of content, I think of curiosity. You want to basically spotlight a headline or an idea, and then you want to take the audience part of a journey of can they achieve that? Because that's why we watch movies, right? There's a goal, there's a challenge. Is that main character going to be able to achieve it? And along that journey, we want to see the setbacks and we want to see the failures. So naturally, I think the 365 days to building a pro club was very entertaining. Now we have a bit of a challenge, but we've still got something entertaining. Can they get promoted? They're a new football club. They're the underdogs because they're so new. There's clubs that have been around for so long. But can they do it? And along that journey, will they have losses? How will they react to those losses? Last year, we were waiting for our final match of the year to get promoted. We needed 1 point, okay? So again, it creates that suspense. Are they going to be able to secure that point on the final match day? You have to also, as entrepreneur, being a club owner, but also a content creator mind, I'm always creative, thinking of how can I create storylines that the audience is then attached to. So it's a creative process all the time.
And now, how is the season going?
The season's going great. I think when we got promoted, you usually think, okay, the club's going to go back down, or maybe they're going to, come out of promotion, just relegation a little bit. But we've actually surprised the whole UAE football scene and also people who follow us globally. We're currently in first place in the UAE second division. We're undefeated. We have not lost a match. And we're playing fantastic football. We've got a couple of Spanish signings, so we're playing the best style of football there is. And now we are almost entering the halfway mark where we have our winter break. And then hopefully we can continue this momentum. And, we're in first place. We're undefeated. So if we stay in that spot, of course, we get promotion again, back to back.
How is sorry for the ignorance, but the UAE league system, the football system in the UAE? Yeah. So you started in the third division. That's the lower professional division.
So the UAE FA, the ones that they classify professional under the umbrella, it goes from the ADNOC Pro League. This is tier 1. Then it goes UAE first division, UAE second division, UAE third division. Okay. So you have 4 tiers. We started in the UAE third division because any new club who gets the license.
How many teams you have?
Usually you have between 16 to 18, depending on the league. So last year we got promoted. So now we're in the UAE second division, and top 2 teams will be moving up. So if we move up, we're going to be UAE first division next year, and then that means we're 1 year away from
the top league.
Yeah.
And how many matches? When the season starts and when it ends?
Usually September to May. So
September to May.
We've got around 32 matches, something like this, depending on the league.
And all the games are played. No, imagine you're based in Dubai, but not all the games are based in
all over the UAE. So usually Dubai, most of the clubs are from there, but we've also got clubs in Abu Dhabi. We've got clubs in Ras Al Khaimah, in Sharjah, all the different Emirates, in Fujairah. So sometimes we do travel a couple of hours, but I grew up in Canada, so a couple of hours is nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I can imagine. It's interesting what you mentioned before about trying to think always creatively? Because now, when I see you, you were 100% focused on content creation. Now you're transitioning to a more CEO kind of role where you have to think strategically, okay, where I want the club to go, how I'm going to make my money, how I'm going to pay the salaries of the players, the cost of travel, all these things. But at the same time, you need to keep the creativity going because that's the soul of the club. How you keep up or how you make or organize yourself to keep up with the creativity without losing track of all the day-to-day operational stuff, because sometimes on our day-to-day we are just
it's crazy
in things, and you finish the day and said, okay, I've done nothing, but you caught up in this rat race to call it in a way. How you find time for creativity and to build a storytelling.
So 2 things that come to my mind, and last year was chaotic because year 1 of the club owner, but also player, because I want to finish off my playing career with having built the club to close off that story. And we got promotion and that was fantastic. But owner, player, managing the financial side, managing the marketing side, then the sporting side, it became so crazy. And there's 2 answers I have, one a bit more technical, one a bit more away from sports business. And it's just something that's been so valuable to me. And I hope people listening, they also take this into their own life. In the last few years, one thing that's really helped me is just paying a lot more attention to my mindset, developing my mindset. And how I've been able to do that is reading a lot of books in the self-development space, podcasts, learning from top leaders in the space. And why that helps me with this is because it allows me to become more self-aware, allows me to become more disciplined, more ambitious. It allows me to basically become a high performance person of me, a better operator. And that is very, very important, because if you don't have that piece, it doesn't matter what kind of tactics or whatever you then try and implement to make the right moves. That's the most deep and the most important piece. So I encourage everyone every day to give some attention to your mind, develop it, and level up your best version. Now, the second part of that is, what do I do to actually manage things? So like you said, there's so many different things, and oftentimes it's the more important key needle movers that you have to focus on to move the vision forward. So for me, it's a combination of, I have to continue to educate myself about the process of what it takes to run a club. Yesterday, I was talking with Esteve, the CEO of Al Hilal, and of course, he has so much more experience than I do in the game, but coming to an event like this, having a meeting and a discussion with him, learning from videos, learning from doing, I try and learn as much as possible to level myself up as acting CEO role, overseeing all these different departments. But then also, I have to get the right partners and the people involved who are very experienced in what they know to do, so that we can run the operation in the best possible way, making the right moves. So for us, what that looks like, there's many different pieces, but for example, can I do the finances? Probably. But can I get a CFO who has the experience, who then, I can kind of look high level, what's the most important stuff, and I can trust him to do the job? That's kind of the way I've been evolving in the last couple of months. And so far, it's been good. I'm still learning. I'm a young club owner in the space. So step by step, we continue to grow and build.
And how many people you have on the team at the moment?
Our team is quite small. We're like a startup company. We're 2 years old. So not talking about the players and that side of things, we've got a team of about technical staff, I would say is about 6. Yes. 6 on the technical side. And then the actual business side or the corporate side of the club, we've got about 5.
5. So what are the functionalities that you find that were more important than the profiles that we're looking for in this?
In the corporate side, in terms of building out? Yeah, so we've got some hybrid roles as well, because we're still growing. So it's not like we can have specific positions for everyone. But I have to say, of course, the CFO is a very important part of the operation.
You need someone to look at the numbers.
Yes. Then we have the operating officer. The COO is very important, because that person essentially runs the operations of the club and does most of the day-to-day to ensure things run well. And I work very closely with that person. I am very well experienced in social media. Obviously, it's one of my skill sets. So we don't, for example, have a CMO, but then we've got a social media in-house team of 2 people right now. So again, our operation is quite lean. There's a couple different people we have as well, but I would say the most important roles are definitely the executive roles. But then it's interesting because when I think of what will make us unique as a football club, no one's really going to want to watch us because of the football. Sure, like, okay, it's interesting to come watch 90 minutes, but it's interesting because of the story. It's interesting because maybe who's playing, what's their story, where did they come from? And for me, then what does that mean? That means the media becomes the most important. Because if we can, I essentially see us as a media company. And to answer your question, yes, the CFO and all these executive roles are important, but for me, it's like the media side is so important and the marketing, and we have to get that right. Why? Because that makes us unique compared to all other football clubs in the world.
I mean, if you think, I mean, a team of 6 people, no, you plus 5.
Yeah.
30%, oh, sorry, 50% of the people are more dedicated to media. You said you have 2 social media guys plus you. That makes 50% of the team, of the corporate team of the club, just thinking about content.
It's very content driven. It's very content driven. I mean, look, we've got, obviously on the football side, we've got a sporting director. We've got our technical staff of the head coach, the assistant, fitness, physio, but that's the football side. You know, on the corporate side, we have a couple of support systems. People who aren't fully employed, but we outsource them or we use them on a case-by-case basis. But in terms of people who are in it all the time, it's very lean. It's very lean. We're a startup. We're a new club.
Yeah, that's interesting, and you know, the efficiency you bring in, some of the, you know, the efficiency of the startup, that mentality and philosophy to football. That sometimes when you think about football clubs, it's not really the case. You have all kind of structure, people that don't collaborate, and especially people that don't think content first. Because yes, obviously the sports side is the most important thing, and we're here to play football, and we're here to win, and winning is the best strategy. So if you win, if you go to the first division, and then the next year to the pro division, that's going to be even better. In terms of business, you're going to grow. But if you have a good content strategy, you have a good story to tell. I always say that it will help you win more when you win and lose less when you lose. And you cannot rely on just winning, because then sponsors, if you stop winning, and it can happen because this is sport and you cannot always win, you're going to start losing those sponsors. So I think you're a very interesting case, or doing a unique thing about creating so much content and so much story around the actual sport that, if you allow me to say, sport is secondary. The most important thing is the stories you're telling.
Yeah, the content side is so important. Like you said, because you can have wins, you can have losses. It's football. It happens at the end of the day. But how can you still continue to win if you have a big social media, if you have people who are interested, people who are excited to watch the content? And I think that's why every entity should be focusing on content. And then obviously that's an umbrella. How deep can you get? Can you share the stories? Because that's what people care about at the end of the day. Life has the wins, has the losses. Of course, there's a big ROI in terms of performance of winning, being a championship team. But
no doubt,
control what you can there. And then on the content side, max that out, because there's so much potential.
And what's your vision for the future? Where you want to get?
So ambition is, this year, I want us to get promoted. That will give us a back-to-back promotion. I want us to be in the ADNOC Pro League, which is the first tier of the UAE League, within the next 5 years. That's my vision. And I want us to compete in the Asian Champions League. So when I think of Palm City FC, if you're in Dubai or UAE, you may know some of the football clubs. But outside of the UAE, you won't know many UAE-based football clubs, unless you're a diehard football fan. Right? Al Ain was at the FIFA Club World Cup. But many of the clubs have a localized approach in terms of their marketing. I want everyone around the world, when they think of Palm City FC, that's the pro club from Dubai. That's the professional club from Dubai. And in a couple of years, we're in the top league. And we've, away from football, redefined how people consume content. And actually, one thing, if we go even deeper to a player-by-player case, one passion that got me to start this vision, which we still have to execute on. Step one for me was the operations of the club. Now I want to execute on part of this vision step by step is, can we get our athletes educated and give them the resources to start building brands around them? It's not going to be suitable for every athlete, But you see how things are drifting. So many people care about now the person, Ronaldo, Messi, opposed to the actual brand. And it's not one or the other, but bring both into it. I was playing for some teams along my journey who, people are sometimes very traditional in football. Why are you posting on social media? Why do you have videos that you're sharing? You should just be focused on football. Yes, you should be focused on football, but that's maybe 4 hours of your day, 5 hours where you have to have your training and your recovery, and you need something else outside. So instead of wasting time, I want to encourage our athletes to get into some content creation, to build brands around themselves, their mindset, their personality. And if Palm City FC can be a big part of creating that legacy in the next generation of football media, that to me is really exciting.
That's very interesting approach, and I think something that football players are getting more used to, and they're getting more their heads around. What's the strategy? What I can do more, but sometimes they lack the resources to do it.
Yeah.
So how are you planning to, if in your ideal world, in 5 years' time, you are in the top UAE division, you're fighting to get into the Champions League, Asian Champions League, and you have some players that you think you can build or have the willingness to try to build their operating. How you see that ecosystem working? What resources you want to put or give the players to do that?
In an ideal world, how I see it, and our media team is very small right now. We still have to grow it, and this is in the coming years, but maximize the team level content, but then within our media team, organize days and intentions where we capture individual content for the players and actually feed that content to them for them to just be able to post. Now, setting up resources around that as well as something we want to tap into. For example, in Dubai, they've done a great initiative called the Creators HQ. And a lot of the leadership there, they're my close friends. And their goal is essentially increasing the creator economy. Now, we're the first in the football space to really give that attention. So for example, once we're at that level, what I would want to do is all the resources of the Creators HQ, which is backed by the Dubai media government, I would want to provide that as an asset to every single player. If they feel like that's something that they want to get into, they have that resource. And what does that resource look like? Education about content creation, workshops, getting to meet other creators, other influencers in the space. And of course, they're a professional football player first, but the way the world is going, just having one job and just being known as one thing is 40 years ago, that's 30 years ago. Now it's about being a hybrid person. And at the end of the day, even those people back then, if we saw them one way superficially, if you got to know them, they were a hybrid person. We're humans. We're so dynamic. And so I really hope that as time goes on, more and more football players, if they feel like it, it's not for everyone, they get into that content side because they have so much that they can share with the audience, with the community members that will bring them both entertainment and value at the same time.
I mean, so this has been an amazing conversation. I really wish you all the luck for this season.
Thank you.
And wish you also the back-to-back promotion. I will continue following Palm FC. I feel it's part of my my football ecosystem. And it's the only UAE club I know. So
there you go.
You're achieving your vision of being known international.
I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you for making the time.
Thanks for having me.
It was really a pleasure. And
I appreciate
hope to repeat this episode in a few years' time with you in the top UAE division.
Looking forward to it.